Larry Nichols, stop right there because there's so much I want to go over with you. We know that Oklahoma City was a staged event. We know 9/11 was a staged event. We know that no matter what party it is, they keep building up the secret police apparatus. You, like E. Howard Hunt, have the job of overthrowing nations and running black ops squads, and very similar type background, coming out of special forces and then into the intelligence and being a boots on the ground commander. Here, it's like a slow-motion 30-year takeover instead of a 1-week takeover like Guatemala or Nicaragua or El Salvador or Iran. They're building camps. They admit it. They've militarized the police. They've tripled the number of cops. They're brainwashing everybody. They're putting up cameras, coming in with national ID cards. I want to go over their global geopolitical plan. You talked to the Iranian Prime Minister. Iraqi Prime Minister. Excuse me. Last letter different. I tend to get that wrong. You talked to the Iraqi Prime Minister.
I've talked to him in his eye.
Okay, but let's just stop right there. Well, I know you talked to the Iranians and the Iraqis. That's what I've seen in the press reports. But let's just back up here before I get into that, and before you get into that. What will happen? What do you predict? Because you predicted it in the past. Everything you said came true. I think Hillary will have an inaugural terror attack to make us all love her and to be able to really launch martial law. They won't call it that. I know they've recruited 26,000 preachers to tell their flocks to turn their guns in, go to FEMA camps, take inoculations. I reported that over a year with the secret documents we got before it even broke in the news. It's now come out in the news. What do you see happening if and when the fix is in, Hillary Clinton becomes president?
Well, the first thing you got to understand that you got to learn is a thing called social engineering. That's one of the first things we were trained. Social engineering. Y'all being socially engineered, you think you're voting for president. You're not. You're not going to pick who's president. Others are. But the way they're going to get us, Alex, they're doing right now. They're taking American jobs. There's an invasion. My God, man. You were talking before while I was in the bullpen, you were talking about the pseudoephedrine. Well, they don't even have to worry about that now. Now they got more crack cocaine coming across the border than you can make here. They're bringing people in, replacing American jobs. When Americans lose their jobs, what do you lose? You lose your home. When you lose your home, what do you lose? Your family.
You lose your independence, and then they can come in with government jobs.
You end up, there's a term that they use in social engineering. It's called empowerment.
Disempowerment.
Huh?
They want to disempower the people.
Right, because if you're empowered, you have enough money to control your own life and make your own decisions.
They're always waging war against the middle class.
And they're stripping us down. And we don't have 2 years. This thing's over in 2 years, buddy.
I agree. We'll be in total martial law.
I mean, and what are you going to do? And what are you going to do? Who are you going to call? Who are you going to go to? There's one way to beat them. There's one way to beat them.
I want to get into your solution, but fleshing out the type of individual that Hillary and the puppet masters that control her are, the puppeteers, predict. If she gets in, then we'll talk about trying to stop her, but if she gets in, what do you predict she'll do?
Well, the first thing she'll do is she'll carry on, and you'll know no difference between George Bush and his administration and the Clinton administration. You'll see none. Look, does it not make sense to you that since the day the statue of Hussein fell in Iraq, that the oil companies have made the largest quarterly profits in the history of the world? I mean, does that not make some sense to somebody?
By shutting off the oil supply, they create artificial scarcity.
Now, nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change. The only difference is Hillary will be the boss. Now, when Hillary gets to be the boss, we're going to go back to the old Clinton days in Arkansas. You cross them, they'll kill you.
I've noticed with Bush, he tends to just let people run around and attack him. He's got the hubris to ignore it. But the Clintons, they pay attention. They like to kill hundreds, don't they?
I guarantee you Bush will just let you run around and say what you want to. He doesn't care. You cross Hillary, and you'll not live to see tomorrow. And then they'll do what we're trying to do, get you when you're young. See, if they think you're about to start talking bad about them, you're going to have a car wreck.
Well, that's why Jennifer Flowers was on Hardball, 8 years ago, and he said, well, so you're saying Bill Clinton's killing people? And she said, yeah, they've killed over 100 people. Clinton deathly. He said, well, why are you still alive? And she said, because I'm talking.
She's alive because of one thing, and she will tell you. Because she hated me for a week or two. But she'll tell you today that the reason she's alive is because I made her come out and talk. Susan Coleman, I had her fixing to come out. And she waited a week, and they killed her.
Let's talk about how they killed her when we get back. Talk about how to stop the Clintonistas with our guest, Larry Nichols, former CIA Black Op commander.
Go. The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
Larry Nichols is our guest. He broke the first big Clinton scandals and many of the others. They haven't killed him because he's so prominent, isn't they haven't tried as well. So many dumb liberals think that they're just so sweet and kind and loving. I mean, you've been there. It's even mainstream knowledge they have a lot of people killed. Tell us about this poor young lady.
Well, Susan Coleman worked as the nanny at the governor's mansion. And Bill Clinton raped her twice. And I got her to come out. Chris Ruddy. If you'll remember Chris Ruddy, he was with the Pittsburgh Tribune at the time. I had her fixing to come out. And she was going to come out that Friday. She backed out. Well, that weekend they found her dead. Now, somehow she had taken a .380, shot herself in the back of the head, and killed herself. Well, when we broke into her apartment, she shot herself supposedly. Just imagine this. She shot herself in the right temple. You with me? Sitting on a couch. To the left of the couch was the wall between the living room and the kitchen in the apartment, right? Where would that bullet end up?
Tell us.
Well, it ended up in that wall right there to the left of the couch, wouldn't it?
Yes.
We found the bullet up in the ceiling, 13 feet to the right and to the front of her. Well, then I find 5 nurses that worked with her, that they had done such a poor makeup job that when they went to the morgue, they didn't want the family to see her because she was such a pretty girl. So they asked the mortician to let them help do some makeup. Well, they found out that her whole forehead, her right forehead, had been made up with cake powder. She had been killed. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, she had been killed. That's just the cost of doing business.
Now, it later came out other women he'd raped. How often? I mean, did he always like to rape them and bite them and all the things he did?
Well, what was the other one? The one in Fort Smith that he raped and beat up. Oh, my goodness. Alex, there's so many. It's hard for me to remember all of them. I mean,
and it's like a bad nightmare. People thought the Clintons were gone. You kept saying they're not gone.
They're not gone.
No.
What do you think they've been doing all these years? They've been getting ready for this day. These people do not live. They're not like me. I mean, they're not like you. They're like me. I don't live for today. By the time today gets here, guess what, folks? It's over. You plan for tomorrow.